On our 10th wedding anniversary, my phone rang just as I was setting the table. A woman's voice came through, sharp and steady. "Your husband is here with me." My hands froze, and the knife I was holding clattered onto the plate. For a moment, I thought I had misheard. I pulled the phone closer to my ear, waiting for the voice to repeat itself. Instead, there was silence. Just the faint hum of background noise, like chatter in a public place. My pulse raced. I managed to whisper, "Who is this?" The woman didn't hesitate. Her voice was calm, deliberate. "Ask him yourself. He's right here." Then the line went dead. I stood motionless in the dining room, surrounded by the warm glow of candles. The table was already set. The good plates, the wine glasses, the bottle of red we had been saving for years. I had spent the whole afternoon cooking his favorite meal: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and the chocolate cake he always requested on special occasions. It was supposed to be a perfect evening. Instead, that call left everything tasting like ash. My phone buzzed again. This time it was just a number. No name, no photo. I didn't answer. My heart pounded too hard, my mind too clouded with panic. Mark was supposed to be home by 7. That was the plan. We would eat together, talk about the years behind us, and maybe even laugh about the silly things we had fought over. But now, with every tick of the clock, suspicion replaced anticipation. I slipped on my coat and shoes without even thinking about it. The house felt suffocating, as if the walls themselves were closing in on me. I couldn't just stand there waiting. I needed to know the truth. The city streets were already glowing with streetlights when I got in the car. I drove aimlessly at first, gripping the steering wheel tighter than I realized, replaying the woman's words over and over. "Your husband is here with me." Was it a cruel prank? Or worse, was it real? My phone buzzed once more. This time, a text message, "Check the hotel." That was all it said. No explanation, no name, just those 2 words. My chest tightened until it hurt. Which hotel? Why tonight? Why our anniversary of all days? I took a shaky breath and drove toward the one place that came to mind. The big hotel downtown, the one with the glowing sign I could see from the freeway. It felt like every mile brought me closer to a truth I wasn't ready to face. By the time I parked near the entrance, my hands were trembling so badly I could barely pull out the keys. I sat there in the car, staring at the glass doors. Guests were walking in and out, smiling, laughing, carrying shopping bags. To them, it was just another evening. To me, it felt like the end of my marriage was waiting inside. I finally forced myself to move. Step by step, I walked across the pavement, my heels clicking against the stone. My throat was dry, my stomach in knots. I pushed the hotel door open. The warmth of the lobby hit me, the scent of polished wood and perfume filling my senses. And then, across the room, I saw something that made my heart stop. The hotel lobby glowed with soft yellow lights, polished marble floors reflecting the chandeliers above. People moved around me, guests dragging suitcases, couples dressed for dinner. But all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. And then I saw him. Mark stood near the reception desk, his back to me. He was dressed in a suit I didn't recognize, darker and sharper than the ones he usually wore. Beside him stood a woman. She was younger, with long dark hair cascading down her back, dressed in a red dress that clung to her frame. She leaned close to him, saying something I couldn't hear. And then she laughed. The sound of it made my skin prickle. I froze behind one of the pillars, unable to move. My breath caught in my throat. It was true then. He wasn't stuck at work or running late. He was here with her, on our anniversary. Mark reached into his pocket and handed the woman something small. From where I stood, it looked like a key card. She accepted it, smiling. My stomach lurched. I wanted to scream, to confront them both right there in the lobby, but my legs wouldn't move. Instead, I watched as the woman disappeared into the elevator, leaving Mark standing alone. He checked his watch, then pulled out his phone. My phone buzzed in my purse at the exact same moment. I pulled it out with shaking hands. A new message appeared. "Still think he's yours?" My knees nearly buckled. Whoever was sending these messages knew exactly what I was seeing. Were they watching me right now? I backed out of the lobby, barely able to breathe. The night air hit my face like a slap, but it didn't clear my head. Questions crowded in. Who was that woman? Why was Mark giving her a room key? And who was texting me? I couldn't drive home, not without answers. So I sat in my car, parked across the street, and waited. Every minute dragged like an hour. Finally, I saw Mark come out of the hotel alone. He looked around nervously before heading to his car. I started the engine and followed him, keeping a distance. My heart raced with every turn he took. Where was he going now? He drove toward the edge of town, away from the busy streets, and finally stopped at a small restaurant I didn't recognize. The parking lot was nearly empty. He got out, glanced around, and went inside. I hesitated, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my fingers hurt. I could turn around now, pretend none of this ever happened, go home and wait for him to explain. But something deep inside me wouldn't let go. I stepped out of the car and walked toward the restaurant, my pulse thundering in my ears. Through the restaurant window, I held my breath. Mark sat stiffly at a corner table, his hands folded, his shoulders tense. Then the person slid into the chair across from him, and my jaw nearly dropped. It wasn't the woman from the hotel. It was my sister, Claire. I blinked, certain I was imagining it. Claire and I hadn't spoken properly in years, not since the fight over my parents' will. She barely even acknowledged Mark at family gatherings. What could they possibly be doing together, in some quiet restaurant on our wedding anniversary? I slipped inside, staying close to the wall. The restaurant was dimly lit, only a handful of tables occupied. I took a seat near the back, angled just enough to watch them without being seen. My pulse throbbed in my temples. They spoke in low voices, their expressions serious. I caught fragments. Claire saying something about timing, Mark shaking his head, insisting it has to be tonight. She slid a small envelope across the table. He tucked it into his jacket. My phone buzzed again. Another message. You deserve to know the truth. Go inside. My hand shook as I read it. Whoever was sending these messages seemed determined to push me closer to the edge. My first thought was that it had to be Claire. She was manipulative enough, vindictive enough to play a cruel trick like this. But then, why would she meet him here in secret? I wanted to storm across the restaurant, slam my hands on the table, and demand answers. But fear held me in place. What if the truth was exactly what it looked like? Mark, my husband of 10 years, betraying me not only with another woman, but in some twisted arrangement involving my own sister. I clenched my fists in my lap, nails biting into my palms. Every sound in the restaurant, the clink of cutlery, the hum of conversation, seemed too loud. My entire world was narrowing down to the two of them sitting just feet away. Then Mark stood. Claire remained seated, her arms folded, eyes downcast. He walked toward the exit, pulling out his phone. Once again, mine buzzed. Still watching? My heart leapt into my throat. I scanned the room, half expecting to see someone pointing a camera at me. But no one was looking my way. I hurried out of the restaurant, slipping back into my car before Mark could spot me. I ducked low as he drove off, heading in the opposite direction. Claire emerged a few minutes later, her face pale, her steps hurried as if she didn't want to be seen either. I sat there long after they were both gone, my mind spinning. None of this made sense. Was it an affair? A scheme? A setup? I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mark in the hotel lobby, Claire sliding that envelope across the table, the text messages buzzing like alarms in my head. By morning, my chest was tight, my mind raw from imagining every possible betrayal. At 10 a.m., another message came. Downtown. Coffee shop. Noon. My hands trembled as I typed back, "If you don't tell me who you are, I'm not coming." The reply was immediate. "You'll regret it if you don't. Trust me." By noon, I was sitting in the corner of the coffee shop, clutching a mug I hadn't touched. The door chimed and my sister Claire walked in. My stomach flipped. She spotted me, sighed, and came over. "Before you say anything," she began, sliding into the seat across from me. You need to know you've got this all wrong. I laughed bitterly. All wrong? You meet my husband in secret on our anniversary. He's at a hotel with some woman in a red dress, and I'm supposed to believe this is nothing. Claire's eyes softened. That woman wasn't what you think. She's an event planner. Mark hired her, I blinked. Event planner? Claire reached into her bag and pulled out the envelope I'd seen last night. She slid it across the table. With shaking hands, I opened it. Inside were glossy invitations and seating charts. On the top, in bold letters, 10 years together, surprise vow, renewal ceremony. I felt the blood drain from my face. Claire continued, her voice quieter now. Mark wanted it to be perfect. He asked me to help. He thought I could keep the secret better than anyone else. The messages? He set up a friend to send them to keep you from suspecting too soon. Tears blurred my vision. My throat tightened as the weight of my assumptions crushed me. I had followed him, doubted him, nearly destroyed him in my own mind, all while he was planning something beautiful for us. I whispered, I thought he was cheating. Claire reached over and touched my hand. I know, but you need to tell him what you felt. Don't hide it. He deserves to hear the truth, just like you did. That evening, when Mark came home, I couldn't even look at him at first. The table was still set from the night before, food cold and untouched. He looked nervous, almost guilty, until I broke down and told him everything. I confessed about the call, the texts, following him to the hotel and the restaurant. His face shifted from shock to hurt, then finally to something gentler. He pulled me into his arms and said, I wanted to surprise you, not scare you. I cried into his shoulder, whispering apologies. And in that moment, I realized something important. Trust isn't just about the other person. It's about who we choose to be when doubt creeps in.